Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Maria Bonita, your tapping practitioner for today. And today we're going to look at 5 of the best questions to ask your clients during a tapping session. So let's just dive straight in. So my number 1 favorite question to ask is, what's coming up for you right now? So if you've already done the initial round, like you kind of know what they're working on, what they want to work on, you want to ask what's coming up for you right now, because as you start tapping, perhaps they're feeling something in the chest and then it starts moving into the throat area. Perhaps a new memory pops up, perhaps a new perspective comes up, right? So you want to ask what's coming up for you right now. And you can even ask this question more than once during a session. This might be useful to keep asking because things will keep shifting and you want to be aware of the changes that the person is going through as you're tapping along. You want to keep on top of them, and then you want to keep using the scale again and focusing on the strongest point or the most intense point to chase, so to speak, to chase during your tapping in order to get to the root of it. Obviously, I go into this in so much more detail in the Tapping Authority training program, the self-paced online program where you can learn to tap for your clients. You know, the link's down below, but to give you an idea of how to use it. The second question I think is fantastic to ask during a tapping session is, if this was your friend or if this was your child or if this was your mom, you know, depending what came up, what would you say to them? What happens is, as humans, we're all very harsh with ourselves. We lack that self-love and we tend to speak to ourselves in a very mean voice. We think that if we're a bit harsh on ourselves, we're gonna motivate ourselves to do better. So, you know, when we wanna take better care of our health, we call ourselves horrible names. When we wanna do something else, we say that we're, you know, if you want to develop a new habit and you're struggling to develop it, we tend to like beat up on ourselves and call ourselves lazy, call ourselves stupid, whatever it is in our minds. Now, when it's your friend or your child, you're not going to do that, are you? Because you're going to give them a message that comes from the heart. You're going to give them a loving, compassionate message. And when you ask that question, like if this was your friend or your child or whatever, what would you say to them? You're tapping into that love and that compassion. You're helping the person reflect self-love and compassion back at themselves, because the answers that they come out with are always loving, right? And that's what we do as EFT practitioners, as coaches, is be a mirror to reflect that love back at someone. And, you know, even if I'm sharing these questions with you, these are similar things to what, you know, practitioners that I work with and coaches that I work with do for me. I need that mirror as well to reflect that self-love, self-love, whatever you want to call it, back at me, right? In the same way that I do it for my clients. We all need people like that in our lives, regardless of, you know, like how professional we are or how high up or whatever, it's all BS, okay? So the third question that I love to ask during a tapping session is, if this were here to teach you something, what would that be? If this were to benefit you in some way, what would that be? Now, you have to be careful with this question, and I dive really deep into this in the trauma section of the Tapping Authority training, because obviously if someone says to you, oh my God, I was like abused, you're not going to say like, oh, what was that here to teach you? That can be really insensitive and that can be very hurtful, and that could, you know, re-traumatize someone in some kind of way. Like, that's not what this is about. But it's you know, for example, to give you one example off the top of my head, it's like a change in sensation. Like if you were feeling something, what do you think that feeling was here to teach you? Sometimes people naturally are like, I think this was here to teach me something, therefore you can go into it. It is a little bit of a complicated one, so you want to be careful where you use it, but it can be really incredible when used at the right moment, okay? So question number 4, the fourth question I think is fantastic to use during a tapping session is, what do you want to make this mean? Because sometimes, going back for question 3, we're searching for like a lesson. We're like, oh, there must be a lesson to be learned from this situation, but I don't know what that lesson is. And we're thinking it's like something outside of us. But the truth is, you get to choose what you make it mean. And if you get to choose, why don't you make it mean something that's powerful? Why don't you make it mean something that is creating a life that you want to be living, becoming the type of person that you want to be? You get to choose what you make it mean. So that question is incredibly powerful. I want to share briefly one little story, and the reason that this question came up for me was because about a couple of years ago, I was on a motorbike with my husband in the mountains in Colombia, and a guy who most likely was not, shall we say, mentally stable, ran out into the middle of the road with a machete and nearly hit us. And so there was a 30 seconds where I thought I was going to die. Thankfully nothing happened, and it all blew over and it was over and done with in seconds. But I kept thinking to myself, okay, if this is an opportunity for me to get into alignment, if the universe wants to teach me something here, like, what's the lesson? What's the lesson for me to learn from this situation? Like, what is it? And I was like, I can't find the lesson. And I realized that it's not that there is a lesson to be learned here. It's I get to choose. What do I want to make this situation mean? You have complete power. You have complete control over it. So choose the meaning that you want to give any situation in your life, and make sure it's one that feels good to you. It doesn't even have to make sense to the practitioner. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. Just the person that you're asking, it has to be something that feels good to them. Okay? That's question number 4. My last question, question number 5, and this one is great to ask towards the end of a session when the person's already had quite a few reflections and aha moments. At the end of the session, you want to ask them, how will this new perspective impact your future? How will this new perspective impact your future? And the reason this is so great is because it's future pacing. So they start thinking, oh, well, now that I'm thinking about it like this, and now that I'm reacting in this way, I'm responding to this, blah, 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 that's going to make me show up in this way. I'm going to feel like this. I'll be able to talk to people in this way. They start imagining and future pacing a new way of living from a higher vibration, from a new level of awareness, and from the lessons that they've developed and come to in your tapping session. And that's what it's all about, right? It's not just getting relief for a few moments with someone when you're in front of Zoom or whatever and you're in an office. It's about creating that shift. So we really want to help them transform the lessons and everything that they're taking from that session into creating a life of meaning, of substance, and of the life that they want to be living. Okay, so this question, how will this new perspective impact your future? It's absolutely fantastic for that. These are just 5 of the questions that I love to use amongst many, many other ones. Most of them are in the Tapping Authority training program. You can find the links down below. If you want to experience this for yourself, book a one-on-one session. The link's down below again. And we also have the tapping circle. So for those of you who are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs and you want to develop that emotional mastery through tapping, because obviously developing in a business challenges the fuck out of you, right? We're here for that, to support you. Take so much care, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.